As we do start in the bottom right side, our red Protoss player, this is going to be MaxPax. That's these two. I feel like I always end up casting these two because I always end up talking about how they're both from the same team and both SciStorm Gaming players. I feel like I casted these two against each other a couple times. As in the top left, our blue Terran from SciStorm Gaming is SpeCial. You can watch live? Yeah, I know, crazy, right? SpeCial in EU, yeah, this is, so, I mean, basically, these events are not necessarily region-locked, they're just mostly built around a time that usually favors the, a certain server, or region, and mostly happens on Europe, or favors Europeans on server. This happens on NA East, we do play Ferris server. It's the qualifiers specifically that are usually held on Europe only, but if you make it into the main event, we're usually kind of okay to let people play Ferris server, especially when it's something like NA East. So yeah, it's just meant to be, it's not necessarily meant to be region locked. The title is just meant to give a rough idea of who can participate and stuff. It's the same in Korea, anyone could play in the Korean ones, but they would have to play on the Korean server for the most part. If we had a European qualifier for the Korean one, I don't know what we'd do server-wise. Maybe make like NA West or something. Anyways, all good as we jump into this best of 3, and we have a look to see just what will happen. A couple SCVs going to go nibbling a probe, and just going to be having the, yeah, just a little bit of action happening basically so far. Nothing really too crazy with that. Just going to see that probe escaping out of there. We'll move out onto the map. Obviously, good scout initially from MaxPax just to try and get a read of what's going on early. So what server is this? This is NA East. SpeCial's in Mexico. MaxPax is in Europe. NA East is pretty much fair. It's about the same ping. I mean, there's always going to be 20, 30 difference or so, but yeah, it's about the same. It should always be EU since it's called EU. No, that's what I've just said. The qualifiers will always be EU, but for the most part, when people qualify, we're happy to allow fairest server because it's not necessarily region locked. It's just, initially it's just server locked, but it isn't necessarily server locked in the main event. It's just the qualifiers are server locked. That actually is a bit confusing perhaps, but that's just how it works. Hey, Honorable Macro Terran, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I did see that, I didn't miss it. I just wanted to get this game started. It says, thanks for bringing us all to StarCraft, man. You're like a mighty red Charizard leading us to glory over Gary Hoke and lack of StarCraft. Spread your wings and soar, Charizard. Thank you. I will spread my Charizard wings and soar, guys. Speaking of Charizard, my dad gave me something cool the other day. I don't know if I showed this on stream, actually. I think I did, but I was doing a Pokemon section. I'll show you guys during the break, maybe, actually, because I don't want to bring the camera up mid-game or so during special MaxPax. As I do just get going with a Robo facility on the way down, following the Twilight Council, so we'll see what comes out of that. We'll see how aggressive this Twilight is. I was going to say, it's getting to that point where it's maybe even going to be Dark Shrine instead of Blink. I mean, indeed, it will be Dark Shrine instead of Blink, so MaxPax's going to go with the DTs to open up with, at least. Hi, what's up, you Thermal? Thank you so much for the little raid, mate. Welcome, everybody, as we've got some special MaxPax action on the way right now. The Dark Shrine still continuing up, then again, a couple extra gateways coming through as well. I'm just going to be having now a Cyclone about to finish on the side of SpeCial, help defend a little bit, but again, the big question of defense is what have you got against these DTs? Are we going to have any detection ready to go? Are we going to have turrets preemptively placed? Or are we going to have to kind of defend all of this on, somewhat on the fly? Some tough questions right now, huh? Some tough questions to be answered. Next, a couple gates going to be finishing up as well. What does SciStorm stand for? SciStorm stands for SciStorm Gaming. North American-based team who have been around in StarCraft 2 for years upon years upon years now. And they've been a big part of Spawn StarCraft. We've run events with them. They've had tournament champions on their team. True won WCS under them, went to BlizzCon under them. Gumiho was on SciStorm, still is on SciStorm again now, actually. He won a GSL under SciStorm Gaming. TTTs drop into the main. One of them goes into the natural, so let's see what SpeCial has defensively. Ooh, has a first scan that's good for a kill. That first TT just couldn't quite get back into the prism. A natural, though, is an issue, and he doesn't have another scan right now, I believe. So that DT is just going wild. Okay, he just used a scan when we moved away, and that's why it looked like he had no scan in the main. But he did have a scan. The DT moved back in, so that scan fading is going to be a big deal as the Cyclone gets the lock onto the Prism. Oh, Prism doesn't go down, and it seems like MaxPax is obviously aware of the fact that there was no scan available, but turrets came back up. That means that all 3 DTs have died, and that's always annoying because it now means you don't have any counter kind of, any kind of follow-up aggression, actually. So you don't have any Archon drop or anything, and this Cloak Banshee on the counter is actually getting a lot done. A few of these probes already starting to drop off. And SpeCial's going to make up for the damage taken here pretty quickly. And that's really big because if you offset what the DTs have done, you've got to remember those DTs were an investment and now haven't really done much considering the fact the worker counts are kind of back to where they would have been anyway. Okay, the Banshees were also an investment, but these Banshees are also still alive where the DTs are not, and that's where the big critical change is, or difference between the two of them in this current state of the game. This is, again, a little bit rough because there was just no observer initially, so it's just taking a while to get the first observer out and then start splitting these observers up between different sets of Stalkers to turn this around. And with no blink yet as well, it's still difficult to kind of get into position with those Stalkers and turn the Banshees away. And now because the Banshees are keeping the Stalkers back at home, you've got this Terran army that can move onto the map without issue. There's nothing to stop this from moving across. The Stalkers can't track it over to the other side. And MaxPax is in a lot of trouble, because this attack has potential to do game-ending damage, especially if MaxPax doesn't get on top of it immediately. I don't know if he's got the units to get on top of it immediately as he gets to the center now, and this is what he's wanted to be doing from the entire, the entire way across, basically, but it just hasn't happened. A couple probes go down, Marines taking some shots, we're going to go jumping on a siege tank there. We don't quite get it. I mean, you take it down on HP, which is something at least, but a long way from true success. I'm just going to be seeing the Marines still pressing forward. Well, we're going to start moving up that ramp. The Stalkers on the right side having to back it up a little bit. This robo facility is going to be unpowered, so no immortal for you, MaxPax. Not allowed, and this just seems to be disaster after disaster continuing to grow into play right now. Stalkers under fire. The Marines will come through and push those back. The Stalkers going to come around the bottom side now, looking for a tank. Just going to try and go towards these Marines instead. I mean, these Marines just going to do too much, I think, and I'm not sure you're ever going to really clean this up comfortably. Obviously, as they're still around, you're going to probably take some more economic damage still before this day is done. And you've still got the tanks and the Banshee out the center as well, so you've still got to deal with that at some stage. They're cutting off any sort of movement between your natural and third. And while these gateways at the front of your natural, they're going to be prime targets. We start up charges MaxPax. I hope that he might get a chance to play into the future of this game, however unlikely it may currently seem. The Stalkers are really thinking if they can maybe find their way around, maybe make something happen, but it's not happening yet as our Marines still move up into this natural. The Stalkers still taking a few shots of damage. Two tanks continue in. Nice scan, gets the DT. The Observer goes down as well. I'm just going to be seeing that Banshee still putting some pressure in. Just going to see the Super Battery activating and just healing up these Stalkers. Another Stalker just got shot down though, so big damage right there. I think this is kind of the point where we say the game is done, right? Because MaxPax doesn't really seem to have any way to keep on holding on at all. This really seems like it's going to be just a little bit too much. Nexus goes down. The Stalker's still trying to fight and deal damage. Maybe seeing the Banshee trying to fight these probes. I mean, it looks like there's no detection over here, so it's going to take a while to clean this Banshee up as well. And again, it just seems like problem after problem keeps on coming for MaxPax. And to be fair, they're all kind of linked together. It's all based off the last problem that happened, so not too crazy. As this battery's out of energy, so now this Banshee is actually starting to do some serious damage as well. So that's kind of becoming a big deal. And like I say, it's just one issue after the next at the moment. Just seems to keep on arriving. And nothing is seemingly getting resolved. As a couple Zealots go charging in, they will do a bit of damage as well. Put themselves in a good position. Stalker's getting blown up as they try and come in from either side and put a bit of pressure on as well. So again, that's not really fun because then you're just taking damage you don't really want to be taking, and it just all keeps adding up against you. It just feels like we are not in a pretty place right now. As the Prism back through the top side, heading toward the main base, we do have a scan coming down on the right, keeping an eye on the Zealot Stalker force. Zealots which are going to run down the ramp right now. Stalker's coming in from the bottom side as well. Our Stalker's blink on the top to try and make something happen, and we will see. It's not enough power at all, of course. This goes the way of SpeCial. The Banshees really MVPs because they did a lot. And also just losing the D. Yeah. Just giving you a little heads up as to what might go down in the bottom left-hand side. Let's kick this off. We do have our red Protoss player down a game. Can he bounce back? Can he keep potentially Protoss alive in the tournament? Like I say, it's not guaranteed. I'm just making the assumption, maybe badly of me, that, you know, Clem is the heavy... Well, I mean, Clem is the heavy favorite over Forjumi. I'm just assuming Clem is going to pull that victory out, that's all. Just trying to see if they've got a result there already, or if anything's going on. Looks like they are currently out of game or so. Yo, Von Schleyer, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs as I turn back around and trying to figure out some score lines elsewhere. Oh, apparently they finished already. Oh, God. So apparently Clem took the 2-0 win over Forjumi already while we were getting our first game of this series underway. So, yes, this really is MaxPax trying to keep non-Terran hopes alive in the tournament now. As Clem does what was expected in the round of 8. Gotta say, a shout out to Forjumi. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him play in the playoffs, but he had a hell of a run in the group stage. I was really impressed to see him take 2nd place in that group. He played great. He played some really good games. Came back from some tilting situations as well, I think. Some games he felt he could have played better in. He thought he had given up his advantages and stuff, so it was really cool to see him do that, and excited to see more Forjumi in our future events as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Von Schleyer, for the gifted subs. I really appreciate 5 going out to On Your Own for the 7-month resub, Kane9023, Lotazzi for the 6-month resub, Chica Shadow for the 14 months, and Softcore SpongeBob for the 9-month resub as well. Welcome, everybody, or welcome back to the Wardy family. We appreciate you guys. We're happy to have you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so very much. Reaper is going to move down and hop up towards the main base. Pro continuing over, and the Adept is going to put some damage out. Reaper will take a couple of shots initially as we just continue through. Guys, just as we have a slow opening, I actually just want to take a quick mention to a quick moment, to mention one of our sponsors, which is Orbital Command. If you want to find out more about about staking your Luna, then you can do that with !OC in the chat. We are pretty much coming up to the end of our 6-month sponsorship with Orbital Command, and as of right now, I've not heard more about extending that or anything, but is our last couple of weeks sponsored and so on. So I don't even know, a couple of weeks, maybe last few days sponsored. So if you want to check that out, that's !OC in the chat. They've been fantastic to us. They've been very excited to sponsor StarCraft stuff, and we're very thankful to them for all the support they have given us over the last few months. Like I say, they've been here for 6 months. Would you believe it? Half a year. So shout out to Orbital Command for all their support, and maybe we'll be seeing them back on the stream again in the future. And if not, I hope you guys have enjoyed having them supporting the StarCraft and helping them, having them help us to run some events. Thank you so much for checking those guys out. Just wanted to make that mention. I was just like, I forgot to mention the last couple of streams, and I felt kind of bad about it. Especially because we're coming to the end of the sponsorship. So, yeah, a couple of Marauders here, by the way. Going to fight this Adept, which is going to go down. We gave up the Reaper initially. 2 Adepts have died. This opening here is kind of funky because this is not with Concussive Shells. So without Concussive, I mean, with Concussive, you would have killed the Stalker. Without Concussive, the Stalker just kind of walks away. So not really all that exciting. The SpeCial blame from Korea? No, SpeCial is in Mexico as far as I'm aware. I believe he got denied entry back into Korea because of his visa. I believe the way the guys were staying in Korea for a long time was basically on a tourist visa. When they left the country, basically the way a tourist visa works for Korea is you can leave the country for like a day. So they would fly to Japan, renew their tourist visa in Korea, then come back, and they could stay for 90 days. And they would just do that like every 90 days. But apparently when he went back this time, because he's been doing that since like 2014, when he went back this time, they said, hey, you've done this too many times, you can't come back. Which is kind of a shitter. At least that's what I understand of it. I might not be fully correct there, but that's the general gist I have of the situation. And I believe the problem is you can't get a proper visa to live there because I don't know why. It just didn't work out already or something. So, yeah, basically visa issues. But I think at least that I understand it a little bit more detail, which is why I will try and explain in a bit more detail. So yeah, I believe that's the scenario. Sorry, I picked up a can to have a drink and I put it down and I dented it and I dinged back out. It was like ding in the back of the stream. It's like, nah. Noises that aren't meant to be there. Ah! Stalkers in a prison coming up across the map. This is a third base this time from MaxPax, a little bit more macro focus. That's a nice Widow Mine though. Catches one Stalker, and I mean a Stalker going down for the cost of a Widow Mine is nice, and a little bit of splash damage too, right? So, you know, just nice to do that and get a Stalker at least out of it. Means that Widow Mine was worthwhile. And sometimes, I mean, it could have grabbed something better or something earlier. Usually the earlier it gets a kill like that, the more meaningful it turns out to be. Prism tries to get around into the main, but well defended so far from SpeCial. I mean, it's one of the main things you try and do at this point as a Blink Stalker player that has a Prism. Try and get 4 Stalkers into the base or so, make something happen. Look what SpeCial's doing though, guys. Banshee play again, gonna be Cloak, and it's gonna be Hyperflight Rotors as well. So then Banshees are gonna get that speed. Oh, this Banshee stuck around a bit too long though. That was a bit of a mistake. And that means one Banshee will go down. So yeah, we're gonna get Banshees with speed, and I would kind of say that probably means we're maybe going to see a bit of mech. I gotta say, it's been a while since I've talked mech in TVP. Yep, there's extra factors going down. It's just not been something people have gone for a long time. Like, even on, like, a weird kind of one-off scenario, it's been a long time since we've seen mech be kind of a thing in TVP at all. And to say, I mean, even be a thing, but, like, there was a while where, like, mech wasn't a thing in TVP, but people would at least try it. You'd see that, like, you know, you'd see it like 2 or 3 times a week or something. And I honestly, I'm trying to think back when the last time I casted mech versus Protoss was. Or maybe you guys saw a game in like a GSL or something, or like maybe a series of Katowice that I didn't quite see myself. I'm just trying to think back to when it might have been, but I honestly don't have an answer. Like, even when we've been casting Gumiho, who is, you know, the mech king, even he was like, no, I'm not playing mech in TVP. You crazy? You crazy? I see these few Stalkers pressing in. Obviously, the Banshees with the Hyperflight Rotors, when they have that speed, you get to 5 or 6 Banshees, they can really be like a very dangerous hit squad. I think MaxPax is just like, charge is finishing. You've got a low amount of defense. I think MaxPax almost believes he can dive in on this Zealot on the right, Stalkers on the left, and just go to break this down. It really depends if the SCVs pull to stop the Zealots getting on top of the tanks. And it's actually the Stalkers going to pull back. Looked like they were after the Banshees, which are going straight across the other side. An Observer here will see them, but MaxPax, okay, starts to warp in the Stalkers. 3 of these Banshees will one-shot probes. Obviously, you only need 2 for the one-shot. As they peel off the other way, and they're going to get 4 or 5 workers so far. Sorry, guys. Bet you don't have WCS Game Hard on. Must have been a little bug on the hosting of the lobby. So, unfortunately, we don't see SCVs or workers killed, but... well, a lot of them, I mean, the entire mineral line in the main's gone down. 22 SCVs dead in the game. Prism went down because the order turret dropped. So the order turret going in, it helps to kill the Prism, which took a Widow Mine shot or missile turret fire on the way in, so was already low HP. It wasn't low HP enough for it to actually go down at first. The Zealots wanted to get that tank, they don't find it. The Stalker's still out on the map doing alright. And these Banshees stuck in the corner. They did find 6 more probes from when I was last talking about them, so it's 13 in total. But we come out of this with a 12-worker lead for the Protoss, and I think MaxPax will be pretty okay with a 12-worker lead. It seems pretty alright. That seems pretty reasonable at the moment. I'm going to get a siege tank there at the front as the Stalkers will do what they're very good at, right? Which is get in there, get a kill, get out of there. And especially against a mech army, as long as those tanks aren't sieged, there's not a lot of chase potential in the mech army, right? So these Stalkers will get out of there pretty much every time. Obviously, the problem is when you try and dive in to do that, and then you take 2 tank shots to the face, your Stalkers blow up, and then you've got Stalker pieces just kind of, you know, going here, there, and everywhere. And so yeah, Stalker's just going to be back into the middle. On the left side, this Banshee gets pushed away. And there's a couple Stalkers come out as well, so that's all happening. You see the Banshee spotting the 5th base of MaxPax on the way up. He's doing the right thing, you know, against mech, basically, which is expand, expand, and expand, right? The more you expand here, typically, the better it's going to be for you. So, just keep on expanding. Am I trying to observe with my foot? No, I'm not actually observing. So, I think I usually I'm using Indy's camera. I might have taken over observing for a moment, and then I've put it back on Indy, because what I realized a couple months back is that I'm actually just way better at casting if I steal someone else's camera. So I just steal Indy's camera most of the time, and then sometimes I take the mouse and take control myself. So no, I don't really observe anymore. Because you guys just shout my observing every time. I just thought, you know what, screw it. And now sometimes I see things that Indy doesn't see. So then when you guys are like, oh my god, Wardy, you missed this, I'm like, well, actually it wasn't me, but I actually noticed something as well, you know? So, yeah. Yeah. More tanks coming up, Stargates and Disruptors coming through. I mean, this is a good squad of Banshees. They will just get rid of a cannon, of course. That's the power of these Banshees. They're going to start getting probes, and now Stalkers. No detection here, so they were able to just kind of stick around. Now the Observer shows up, and the Banshees will chase. We actually did get Observer Speed, right? So Observer Speed is pretty important in this scenario, because you want to be able to chase down the... you want to be able to chase down the Banshees and keep up with them, so... That's actually a nice little something to have. The Banshee will be pushed back into that top right corner. For a moment, it looked like as though it was going to siege up and maybe warp in units, but then it never did. Matrix went down to make sure it didn't as well, and it does get pushed into that corner. Special is Max, by the way. So MaxPax has to be really careful when he takes this fight, because he is kind of just down in army supply right now, so gotta be a little cautious. I see the Stalkers coming through the Zealots. Just going to back it up a little bit. Anti-armor missile going down. Phoenix are building on the side of MaxPax. It's his first few. I like that he's got Disruptors. Disruptors are actually very scary for this mech army. The tanks can obviously hit Disruptors from far out, but the Disruptors in general will, you know, if they find the right position, can do very well. They can get those big shots, and the mech units are not fast enough to really split away, so if they're going to take the Disruptor shot, they're pretty much just going to take it. MaxPax kind of wandering in a little bit there. These Phoenix should just be able to go for the Banshees, no? There's nothing to fight the Phoenix off. There's a Disruptor shot for a couple of Hellbats. These Phoenix are moving around with the Observer. Now we're going to start building turrets, so that's going to be, what, our answer to the Phoenix, really? That seems kind of wild as the Banshees move to the left side. The Phoenix just need to get over there. They're going to start targeting the base, but all those Banshees could just die. I feel like the Phoenix, I mean, honestly, I feel like he saw where the Banshees were before and he just didn't do anything about it. Now he's going to come in. I mean, this base will die. But like I say, you're going to... Oh no! SpeCial! He left the base alive on 3 HP, one shot from dying. The Phoenix don't continue to chase. I feel like they're giving either way too much respect to the Banshees, or he's paying attention elsewhere. Now these Zealots are being chased by Blue Flame Hellions, so they kind of just got to go for it. Turrets are up, so the Phoenix can at least fall back to the... the Banshees can fall back to the turrets to survive. I feel like, quite frankly, this just wasn't very pretty on the... Okay, well, that was a suicide blink. I feel like, honestly, MaxPax just wasn't paying a lot of attention to his Phoenix, because he really could have tracked those Banshees and just chased them down. And zoned them from ever getting back to that base, right? They got back over there way too easily, I feel like. I feel like that just happened way too easily, for sure. Something's coming through. Pylon going to be taken down. And she's moving around. Tanks over the far right. Tanks continuing through. The Zealots are going to be kind of catching the tanks They only just started a siege now. We're going to fire disruptors towards them. Oh, Matrix went off there. A couple of Immortals tanking nicely, and the target fire is on them. The hallucinated Archons do not take any shots initially, but MaxPax is going to sweep this army. Just going to be seeing the army of MaxPax going to go back over the right-hand side. Zealots and Immortals continuing to build up here. The +1 air weapons coming through. And our Tempest still just pinging away on the turrets at the front. Those turrets will continue to take some hits. Planetary Fortress will fall. TV is being picked off, and we're going to go moving forward now. Zealot's going to charge in. The Immortals continuing to fire. A couple of Thors taking damage as well. So already one Thor going down. Zealots continue to chase through. Now Thor is going to get blinked on, is going to get cleaned out. A couple of depots will just continue to drop. And the Tempests are just going to pick away at Hellions, pick away at tanks. This is going to be a done deal. And we are just going to see MaxPax sweeping this mech army under the Rogue to advance to a Game 3 in this matchup, which is a qualifying match as well, remember, for the main WardiTV. You can head on over to patreon.com/WardiTV or !Patreon in the Twitch chat, and you'll get the link to the Patreon page. Anything you pledge on Patreon goes directly into tournament prize pools. If you just want to sub, that obviously helps me out as well, but we do still take $1 of every sub, like I say, and put it into tournament prize pools as well. At least $1. Some months, when we want to run more events, we'll put even more money into tournament prize pools, because we're just crazy like that. You can't stop it. You can't stop us, okay? I do what I want to do. Bottom left, MaxPax. Top right, SpeCial. Game 3 of this best of 3. Winner moves on to play Clem in the semi-finals of our Winter Championship European Regionals. Game $300 up top for the winner today. $150 for second, $75 for top 4. And of course, top 4 are also qualified to the main event, where they are guaranteed at least a bonus $25, even if they just drop out 0-2-0-2 or 0-3-0-3. I can't remember what the best of situation is there. I think it's best of 3. I can't remember. It's going to be the same as last year's. I just can't remember what we did last year. I think it's best of 3 up until a point, then best of 5, best of 5, best of 5 at the end. Hey, shout that 29. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Welcome to the Wardy family. And as I was just mentioned, thank you for supporting the StarCraft tournaments. Like I say, it's not possible without you guys, okay? And I'm dead serious when I say that, and I say it repeatedly, I say it all the time, because it's very, very true. Without you guys, we would not have these events, and without these events, I probably wouldn't be casting very much, and there'd probably be a whole bunch less StarCraft 2 happening in general, so. Of course, one other quick thing just to mention as well, as we're on the topic of support, we also have a lot of people in here, and I think during this next break I'll play the trailer for this, so we'll talk a bit more about it then as well, but the Cast of Civil War, guys, we are on the final stretch on the Cast of Civil War Kickstarter. We are just over $1,000 to go until our main funding goal to guarantee a $25,000 prize pool. If you want to check that out, kickstarter.com/nevermind, because it's really long. !CCW in the Twitch chat will give you the link, or I'm so sure someone else will have typed it already. Like I say, we're on our final $1,000 stretch, or just over $1,000. It's about £1,000, so it's like $1,300. But on our final stretch, again, fully funded, and of course we've still got the entire tournament to play, so that's all very exciting. Do check that out, the Cast of Civil War on the Kickstarter. I will play you guys the trailer for that event after this series, if I'm not stupid, and I actually managed to remember. That's the goal, at least. Helium, thank you so much for the 7-month resub as well. Says, back to the fam. Thanks for the content, Wardy. Thank you so much for the Prime, mate. Welcome back. Good to have you. And I really appreciate it, as we do just see our couple of units from SpeCial making their way out down to the bottom side of the map. If Phoenix is about halfway done, the Warp Gate's coming through. A couple of Stalkers are there to push the Hellion back toward the middle as well. And the 2 Reapers will make their way over to the left-hand side. So away they go. Phoenix is going to fly overhead as well. And the Stalker just going to ping onto the Reaper. Do a little bit of damage. Middlemine's still coming up. I'm just going to be seeing this medevac popping out in a moment. Phoenix is there. I'm just going to be seeing the armory continuing through, so just going to have our Widow Mines continuing out, and that's going to be Cloaked Widow Mines that'll come up, but I mean, MaxPax sees this building, right? So he kind of knows what's happening. Cancels the pylon, he knows it's an armory. It's going to cancel into 2 more barracks, so in the end, SpeCial is kind of like just going to switch it up as he goes. To be fair, it's never like reacted mines, and without the reactor, I guess you're not going to keep making mines, so do you really want the armory then? Kind of a funky one. So yeah, there's that pylon scouting. Once the pylon gets cancelled, the armory gets cancelled, we drop 2 more barracks. And this is going to make MaxPax potentially have that robo sooner than he would have done otherwise. So that robo facility coming up right now, like I say, that is potentially earlier than it would have been in another situation here. So definitely something to think about. The 2 Reapers still around the top left. The Hellion poking away at a pylon, the other pylon down here. Potentially going to take some damage as well. Robo Bay on the way up from MaxPax. And a couple extra probes and an observer. All building as well. Everything coming through at the moment. As we just have the Phoenix just going back and forth. Like I say, built an observer. Going to do all that before we take a 3rd base. As the Phoenix in general here, pretty good defensively. And at the moment, SpeCial's not really being able to do too much. Of course, tense game because everything's kind of on the line right here and right now. See what might come out from all this. Robo. Sorry, a little Widow Mine pop off onto a Phoenix, and we will now see the Widow Mine going down. I mean, not the end of the world for Phoenix to eat a mine shot. It's the 2nd mine shot that kills it. So eating 1 mine shot is not so bad. Obviously, it's still low HP, so more easily targeted at a later point by Marines or anything else. As you do see a Phoenix come through, Ripper gets picked off, and just going to be having a Phoenix going to go back to the top right-hand corner. Put the Widow Mine shot, and the Phoenix just going to lift that up and take that down, so that will be happening as well. These SCVs going down, a few Marines getting picked away at. I'm just going to be seeing the Phoenix doing a decent job out over there. Stem combat +1, all of that coming through. The upgrades on the side of our Protoss continuing as well. I mean, a few SCVs is nice, but it's nothing crazy. Obviously, what is kind of crazy is the 5 racks play. No 3rd CC, straight to 5 barracks, and that means SpeCial is going to ramp up the pressure, ramp up the aggression before he turns this into any kind of further macro play. So that's a pretty big deal. That's pretty notable. We'll see what exactly comes of it as our Bio Army continues to rally out down to the low ground. The Marine stem forward there, looking to push those Phoenix back as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously, by the time this special attack gets going, it is going to be multiple Colossi out on the map. But you've got tanks as special, so if those tanks can connect to the Colossi, well, then the Colossi can die very quickly, and then you're going to be in a little bit more trouble, perhaps. So, this can kind of run both ways at the moment. This few Marines going to stem out at the moment of descent. The Phoenix getting pushed back. Raven flying through overhead, and just going to be back over there to get rid of the Observer as well. So the Observer will also go down. 5 Force going through, just going to go knock down the rocks. So rocks on the left-hand side, I mean, they're just going to fall pretty much immediately and open up that direction. The few Phoenix pull back over the right, and I mean, they will be looking for an attempt to try and intercept here at all. I mean, medevac damage is nice. Obviously, if they can set up to lift the tanks, that's brilliant. Zealot counters straight across the map. Was that an SCV pull that's coming? That's what I want to check. No, it's just reinforcements. Well, further reinforcements are going to be stopped by Zealots, so keep that in mind as they start running into the natural expansion. SCV's already going down. I mean, SpeCial's already pretty committed to this. This just really doubles down on that idea, and again, it slows down reinforcements. Fight breaks out over here. Matrix goes down. We're trying to get rid of the tanks. 1 Matrix. I mean, I love that there's a 4th Colossus, because I actually think in this scenario, no better thing to build than just extra splash damage, especially if your splash damage is the one thing really under threat. 11 SCVs died. MaxPax, Marine taking some shots. Zealot goes down off to the side as well. Just going to be seeing how few Zealots continue to go through. Few Phoenix going in after the medevac. Just going to be seeing the Zealots continue to try chasing around the Bio Army. Just going to see how Phoenix going to go try and jump in there. The Marines jump onto a Phoenix as well. Just going to be seeing the Bio Army on the right side. Well, I mean, now the tanks are kind of exposed because the Phoenix can just lift them up for free, which means the Colossi won't be shot down. One went down, but the Zealots are tanking a lot on the right-hand side. MaxPax's army supply, though, is dropping. He didn't get rid of the tanks. He just lifted them, and now the Phoenix are gone. Maybe MaxPax is in trouble. Oh, I thought he was going to have enough Zealots to make it happen here, but it seems like the answer to that is no. SpeCial's going to push through. MaxPax has another round of Zealots. This Bio Army of SpeCial is low. Oh, MaxPax, he just never had enough to actually get rid of the tanks. Like, he took them out of the fight, but he took way too long following that up. And then when the tanks dropped back down, the Colossi was still in range. He needed to get the Colossi elsewhere during that time. Oh, looks like SpeCial's going to make it a TvT fiesta for the rest of the day here in the Winter Championship Europe. And it's just going to be seen as Zealots cleaning up out in the center. The Bioforce continue to do well. This is going to be SpeCial knocking down MaxPax, and like I say, going to be a whole bunch of TvT for us to wrap the day up on, but wow. Great series from SpeCial as we just drop back over here. A few extra Zealots warping in. The medevacs will be chased away. MaxPax, okay, MaxPax has lived. SpeCial, it's not done yet. He actually has been held off now. Uh-oh, and the Phoenix wants to get that medevac, doesn't quite find it. Remember, SpeCial only has 2 bases, so the problem is he actually didn't do... Well, he killed the natural, but there's 2 of the bases still up, right? The 3rd and the 4th of MaxPax are still up and running, so MaxPax not fully dying is bad for SpeCial. Wow, I actually really thought this was over. But apparently it really isn't. MaxPax rebuilt back up really quickly, like really out of nowhere, I felt. Wow, you guys with me, right? I'm not just completely misreading what happened there. It looked like MaxPax was gone. Jeez, I really thought he was, I thought MaxPax was done for, but apparently not. Now we're going to see this bio drop in the main. I mean, this is nice. Get rid of some probes. This is how SpeCial has to play it. I think he's got to lift the main and put it to the 3rd base as well. Better do that sooner rather than later, right? Just get as much mining going as possible. Is he oversaturated in the main? Yeah, I mean, he should just lift it up and put it to the 3rd, because I don't think you're going to end this, unless you really think you're going to end this with the next attack, which is, I suppose, what he's assuming he kind of has to do, which he might kind of have to, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, is this just the cost of basically SpeCial going for a base rather than continuing to trade with units? Because MaxPax obviously had a lot of economy still, and so because he didn't trade with units for a while, MaxPax gets a couple warp-ins at once, and suddenly that's good for him. Obviously, long map as well, so long reinforcement distance from the Terran. Looks like we're going to have one more push from SpeCial. He's got a couple ghosts coming up to help out with it. He'll need them, considering there's Archons on, on board now as well. SCVs should probably come with this attack too, right? Because there's not really any reason to keep them going otherwise. I'm pretty sure I just kind of meant to go here with SpeCial and just... I say I wouldn't be surprised if the SCVs come too. Maybe he keeps them back because he wants a little bit of mining and a little bit of continuation in his building. So I'm going to see a couple of Phoenix being shot at, but obviously these Phoenix are kind of just scouting, right? They're just seeing, okay, the Terran army's coming. He is coming my way. The Zealots are going to go counterattacking immediately, finding a few Marines to start with, and again, just going to put more of a downer on the economy of SpeCial. These SCVs continue to fall. Honestly, I thought this was done, guys. I will say it one more time. It was a bad call from me because MaxPax in the middle of the map will greet this with ease, and he's going to get it done. GG's, MaxPax, 2-1. I really thought SpeCial had this. Like, if you rewind, to, when was it, like, here? When, no, that was just before now. That was the retreat. Like, right here, 3 minutes ago. This is when SpeCial attacks into the natural. Oh, it's just after he attacks into the natural. Let's go back another 15 seconds. Like, you look at this moment right now, 51 to 29 army supply. The issue that I maybe didn't take into account, these units all low HP. SpeCial has, well, actually not really got anything across the map, so it's not like he's waiting on units coming across. It is kind of all here and ready to go. A couple of Archons coming up, that's the issue, right? He doesn't really have anything to fight Archons, and being low HP, it kind of just means that he just can't really do much. I mean, it's tough because obviously MaxPax warps away from this army. You can't win this fight, so he just lifts and leaves. And MaxPax, by forcing it back, then 58 probes still mining off this base and potentially on this base soon, is still a huge deal. Like, his income right now is dropping down, but this income has already been in play, and then when these probes get back to mining, he's going to get the income lead again, and that's what allows you to just build up such an army so quickly compared to SpeCial, who kind of was in the all-in, kill him right now position. Wow. Kind of crazy, right? Just MaxPax just getting enough up to hold, and getting this victory 2-1. Wow. I honestly, really cool.